Hey, Foreclosure Fix family, and welcome to the #1 podcast to help you save your home when facing foreclosure. My name is DJ Olojo, and as you know, our goal is to help 1 million homeowners successfully navigate foreclosure. And we can't do that by ourselves. So we need your help. So please, please, please share the podcast with someone who you know can help, or check out a copy of our new book called The Foreclosure Fix, 12 Proven Steps to Beat the Bank, Escape Foreclosure, and Turn Your Property into a Profitable Asset. Today's episode, we are talking about where the foreclosure market is currently. And we're doing a new type of episode where I'm going to highlight a few articles that I recently have come across and help you all understand how they apply to homeowners facing foreclosure. If this is something that you are just listening to, I am going to try to do my best to kind of go through the data and the slides that I present. But if you have an opportunity, check us out on YouTube, where you can see the full video that has all the slides and the links to all the articles in the show notes and in the notes for the YouTube video. That being said, let's dive right into our current market statistics. So when you look at the current market for where we are and the foreclosure activity nationwide in April 2024, this information is basically a month behind. So we are recording this in May 2024, but we're looking at data from April 2024 because delayed by a month or so. And this data is provided by Adam Data Solutions, which is a company that compiles this information across the country. They work with numerous banks, servicers, and industry executives to provide great data. They have a really robust system, and I really appreciate the data they put out. So if anybody from Adam Data is listening to this, we appreciate you and all the research that you all do. It definitely helps us with our mission. That being said, when we look at foreclosure activity, we do see a slight decline for April 2024. When we look at nationwide, 1 in every 4,453 housing units had a foreclosure filing in April. Foreclosure filings were actually down 4% since March 2024. So we do see a decline in the foreclosure filings. Foreclosure starts decreased about 7% from March 2024. Lenders repossessed 2,904 properties through foreclosure to REO status. And that REO status means real estate owned. So that means that the lender started the foreclosure and completed the foreclosure with the sale of the property on the courthouse steps, or they took it back, if that makes sense, as part of their inventory, and now will go through a real estate agent and things like that. When you look at the foreclosure completions, they were up 8% from March 2024, but less than 1% from April 2023. So basically, we are increasing month over month, but if you compare this to the previous year, it's only up less than 1%. And so it looks like year over year, there's a trend where April, you see a spike. And I don't have any correlation or reason as to why that trend exists, but that's just the trend we see. When you look at the states that had the greatest number of REOs in April 2024, you had Illinois that had 244, Pennsylvania with 241, California, New York with 225, and Maryland with 200 REOs. All right. So that's where we are high level nationwide on the foreclosure statistics. I give you these statistics not because they are just applicable to your situation, but again, my goal is to help you just understand what the general landscape looks like around our country. And when you have 1 in every basically 4,500 homes having a foreclosure start, you know, foreclosure is not a problem that's going away. It's something that, as we look at credit card debt increasing, as we look at the interest rates where they are, as we look at just the burden, right, that it takes to run a household right now in this country, we know foreclosures are prevalent. In my opinion, and if I had to kind of opine on the situation, I think they're going to continue to increase. And so I want to kind of keep a gauge on this for our listeners, for those of you who are in the industry, whether you're a real estate professional or real estate investor and you listen to the podcast, just so you can have a better understanding of kind of where the market is and how you can help those who may be facing foreclosure. All right. So that's our high level stats for today. What I wanted to do is go through some articles that really piqued my interest over the last couple of weeks. And I haven't had time to do any like reels or write articles kind of about them. But I did want to take some time and just kind of go through some of these headlines. One, get your feedback and your thoughts, but also let you know what I think and how I think these articles apply to those homeowners facing foreclosure. The first article, the headline reads, How hard is it to buy a home right now? The new NBC News Homeowner Buyer Index measures the market. And so this NBC Buyers Index is a very unique index because they basically go through and they measure how difficult it is kind of to buy a home. And that index goes from basically, I think, 0 all the way to 100. And right now, the index is sitting at 82.4, which is basically a 0.5% increase from the previous year. And the index consists of 4 factors: cost, how much a home costs relative to the income and inflation, as well as how related expenses such as insurance costs are changing, right? That's one thing. Competition. How many people are vying for a home? Are you having multiple offers? Is there highest and best? What's going on? How many people are competing for that house? Recently, we had a property that we put on the market, and we literally put it on the market for just this past Memorial Day weekend. And we had about 6 or 7 offers, and we had probably about 20 people show the home. Now, all the offers we received were at or above asking price. So if you're a homeowner and that property was the top of your budget and you submitted your best offer, somebody else came in behind them and said, hey, I can afford a little bit more, so I'm going to pay more for that house. And so that is that competition when you see it in markets. In addition to that, scarcity, the number of homes that are on the market, and how many more are expected to enter the market in the coming months. And then the last thing they look at is economic instability, market volatility, unemployment, and interest rates. So they have a proprietary algorithm where they're scraping data from numerous sources, census data, data from Redfin, and things like that. And right now, the home buyer index is at 82.4%, which means it's kind of difficult to buy a home. In addition to that, when you look at this chart that I'm showing right now, it just shows it broken down by county, where it goes from basically on the low end, 28 score for difficulty, all the way up to an 89 score on difficulty. And so when you look at things like this and you're facing foreclosure and you're saying, what do I do? We always talk about what decision you need to make. Do you keep your house or do you sell your house? These types of information, this type of input helps you think through what's going on in my local area. If I'm trying to stay in the same state or geographical location that I am in now, and I have a house and there's a way I can save my house or keep my house from going in foreclosure, does it make sense for me to keep my house? We'll give you more feedback on that here shortly, but I just want you to think about that question of what do you do? Do you want to keep your house or sell your house? Is something when you're facing foreclosure that you should always be thinking about. And our goal here is to help push you in one of those directions. And it doesn't matter which one you choose, but as you go through that process, we want to arm you with the right information to make the best decision possible. So that was the headline for there. Next thing is increasing income housing gap. And this is provided by Visual Capitalists. They do a really good job at providing illustrations on hard data, and it just makes it so easy to understand and interpret. And so big shout out to the folks over at Visual Capitalists. That being said, when you look at increased income versus housing gap, this chart basically goes all the way back to about 1985 or so. And so it goes back and says, basically, when you look at the median household income versus the cost of housing, basically, what was that gap or how many times income did it take to purchase a house? And when you go back to the 1980s, you're looking at about 3.5 times your income to purchase a house. Now, if you fast forward to now, right, which is, I think this data was aggregated and up to about 2022. So it's a couple years behind. But right now, at the time of this article, it was about 6 times the income needed to purchase a house. And so when you go from 3.5 times the median income to about 6 times the median income, that just shows you where home affordability is. And again, if you have a house now and it's in good condition, it's not in disrepair, you may want to really consider keeping that house. I understand when people say, hey, it's better for me to sell, I can go somewhere else. That is phenomenal. If your credit's good, or if you have somewhere else to go, maybe you have your spouse has great credit, or maybe you have a family home you can go to, or maybe you just say, I just need a fresh start. I want to go makes perfect sense. And I recommend people do that in many situations. But I want you to evaluate your situation and make sure that the home you're staying in is not the best or most economical place for you to stay if you're facing foreclosure. And the more stats I see, the more I realize that if you have a home, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And so let me fast forward and go to the next slide, which I really think will hit home with a lot of people who are listening to our content. America's financial well-being, right? And so it just talks about it asks one question, but there are three different answers. The one question is, I have money left over at the end of the month. And if you look at the chart, the red is rarely or never, the yellow is sometimes, and the blue is always or often. And we have it broken down by kind of three different ranges. One is age range, the 18 to 29, the 30 to 44, the 45 to 59, and the 60 plus. And as you can imagine, the folks who are 60 plus have much more always and often that they do have money. About 50% of them, or actually 49% of them to be exact, say they all often have money, which means basically another 51% say rarely or never. But when I look with the age range that I found kind of very interesting is that 18 to 29 says, 29% say that they always or often, or 33% say sometimes, and 38% say rarely or never. I think when I was 18, mine would have always been kind of rarely or never have money at the end of the month. But as we look at this stat, what I want to fast forward to, and what I want to look at is that all adults slide, right? All adults. When we look at all adults calculated together, only 39% of people say they always or often have money at the end of the month, which means that 61% of people are saying rarely, never, or sometimes. And so we talk about how often people are living paycheck to paycheck. We also talk about the foreclosure problem not just being a problem that's isolated to you if you're facing foreclosure. There are many people struggling in our country. The fact that 61% of people are saying that I rarely have money at the end of the month just shows you that this is a problem that is widespread and you are not alone. The Foreclosure Fix family is here to help you. There are tons of different resources. And I just don't want you to ever go out and leave our content or stop listening to our stuff saying, oh, woe is me. It is just me in this boat. No, it is a lot of people in this boat, but we want to help you get to the other side. We want to help you get to that financial freedom. We want to help you get over the hump of foreclosure. And so do not ever feel like woe is me and that you are powerless. You have the power to change your situation. And there are other people who are going through the exact same thing. And so do not be discouraged, but be encouraged, because we are looking to help you in whichever way we can by giving you great content and helping you understand what to do when you're facing foreclosure. All right. The last article that really caught my attention was the income a family needs to comfortably live in the United States. And basically, they have a range of between $178,000 and $310,000. And this is based on 2 working adults with 2 children. So basically a family of 4. Now, I know you're going to say, DJ, there's so many families that don't make up this composition. Maybe there's only one parent. Maybe there's only one child. Maybe there are 10 children. And $178,000 is a significant amount of money for anywhere you live in the country. I get it. The article just sparked my attention because I just found it very, very interesting that it takes so much money to live in certain places. And now, for full disclosure, this article is not saying this is the bare minimum to live. This article was saying that this is the bare minimum to live comfortably. And to live comfortably is defined as annual income required to cover the 50-30-20 budget, allocating 50% of earnings to necessities, 30% to discretionary spending, and 20% to savings. So that's that 50-30-20 budget. 50% to necessities, 30% to discretionary spending, and 20% to savings. And so that is the budget that these folks are following, and that is the amount of money it takes to live. I was looking at the lowest spot is in Mississippi, good old Mississippi, only $178,000, while the highest spot looks to be in Massachusetts. And that is where you need the most money. And so if you're over there in Massachusetts, we know you need some money, and we know it is tough. And so again, all these charts, all this data, all this stuff I'm pulling for you is not meant to make you feel bad or say, man, I'm never going to make this much money. What do I do? It's meant to let you know what is going on out there. Oftentimes, we don't look beyond our own situation. We don't look beyond our own peer group. We don't look beyond our own circles. And so I'm here to just give you data at a broad, high level that just shows you the differences around the country from the people we talk to, from the articles we read, and everything that is coming our way as we analyze the whole mortgage and real estate landscape. Y'all, with that, those are my headlines that I want to share with you. If you got comments on it, do me a favor, just shoot us a message at help@the-foreclosure fix or follow us on any of the social media channels, and I would love to respond and have some dialogue about this. That leads me to my favorite part of the podcast, which is our bow tie round. It's where you, our listeners, get to tie one on with your host, DJ Olojo. The B in bow tie round stands for your best advice for somebody facing foreclosure. The O stands for one thing you're grateful for. And the W stands for your wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story. Our B in bow tie round, my best advice for you is to look around and see what is going on in the market. I have told you numerous times that if you are facing foreclosure, the first thing you need to do is communicate with your lender. But the second thing you need to do is ask the question of, do I want to keep my house or do I want to sell my house? Making that decision helps put you way ahead of all those who are in limbo, not understanding what they need to do. But as you do that, take a second and look around at the landscape in your area. And that when I say landscape, I'm not talking about your landscaping if you got weeds in your yard or plants or stuff like that. I'm talking about the real estate landscape in your area. Go on Zillow, go on Redfin, call a couple agents and see what's going on, because maybe it's going to be very difficult for you to rent an apartment because your credits may be messed up or damaged. Maybe the price point to rent that apartment may be astronomical. And so maybe the best place for you to stay is in your home. Maybe you need to find a solution that allows you to keep your house, even if that means going into your savings or tapping your 401k or whatever else might be the case. You have to make sure you do a little bit of research as you go through the process of making the decision if you want to keep your house or sell your house, because that research may save you so much money down the road. And you also don't want to necessarily throw away that equity you have in your house by selling it in a fire sale or things like that. So just keep that in mind. If you're facing foreclosure, you need to make the decision of if you want to keep your house or sell your house, but you need to make it with good information. You need to make it with good context about what is going on in your local and specific market. And the best way to do that is to do your due diligence and talk to licensed professionals in your area that can help you. And by the way, all this is free. You don't need to pay any money to do this. All you need is a computer or phone and to make some phone calls. Real estate agents, real estate brokers are here to help you. They love giving you information about the market. And a lot of us love this so much that we would just talk about it ad nauseum for free. And so please, please, please don't let the financial scare of you talking to somebody stop you. One thing I'm grateful for. The one thing I'm grateful right now is our conferences. And when I say conferences, I love getting together with other industry professionals to talk about what's going on in the market, to help bring you the best content. My conference slate for this year is packed, and I am headed out to a conference actually in about 3 or 4 hours. I'm headed to Diversified Mortgage Expo. And so I'm excited to see all my industry peers and friends and professionals. And so conferences are just one thing I'm grateful for right now. All right. My wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story comes from a deal where I am actually acting as the real estate agent for. I am helping someone sell their house. And in this process, they are not facing foreclosure, thank God, but they did want to sell their house very, very quickly. And so I said, hey, I can't make you an offer that makes sense, but I do know a way to get you an offer. And so we helped this person get a high offer for their home based on a hedge fund buying their property. And we were headed to closing. We were actually supposed to close yesterday, but we had a snafu come up. Yes, we had a big snafu. In the chain of title, one of the mortgages, and this is not the most recent mortgage, but it's like 2 or 3 mortgages ago, was not canceled. And what I mean by canceled is that the mortgage was paid off, but the lender never recorded a cancellation in the county records. And as a result, there have been 2 mortgages behind this mortgage who have successfully given a mortgage to this person, but they never, ever recorded a cancellation. And so now that we want to sell the property, we can't sell the property with clear and marketable title until we get a cancellation from that lender. And so this has been an arduous process because we've been trying to go and contact a lender, which they have to go back and look in their records for over 25 years ago and then get a cancellation recorded. And so when I talk about getting title reports, when I talk about making sure that you can sell your property and you can transfer your property, these are all the snafus and hiccups that come up when you're dealing with real estate. And this is not something that the seller ever knew about. They were just living their life. They said, I've had numerous mortgages since that mortgage. So obviously everything was good, and it came up at the last minute. And so just keep in mind, when you're dealing with real estate, you never know what can happen, and you need to always be prepared. So starting the process early is always to your benefit if you're looking to sell your home. All right. With that being said, y'all, this ends our podcast today. I'm so grateful for you listening. I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully all the statistics and stuff that I provided you today gives you great information on what to do if you're facing foreclosure. As always, if we can be a resource to you, if you like the content you're hearing, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who you know can benefit. We are here to help you. We appreciate you for listening. And as always, God bless you, and I love you. I'll see you soon. The views and opinions on this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. If you have a specific legal question, we highly recommend you contact a qualified legal professional.